Alrighty, today we're going to be talking a lot about value. Value is just lights and darks. Last time my students were in class, we made these texture monsters. We designed a monster and then filled it in with these texture rubbings. And today we're going to create a little world for him to live in. So you can see that it's done with paint, and then I came on top of it later and used crayon to add some of the details. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to mix value using paint. All right, to create our world, we're going to start using a pencil, and we're going to make 3 hills. An easy way to do this is just to come across the corner of one hill. I like to use a little bit of a wiggly line just to make it look kind of bumpy like grass really is. All right, so there's one hill. Then we'll bring another hill over here on the side, and then in the back, let's just do one more kind of off in the distance. Usually when you look at a landscape, you can kind of see the hills roll into each other like that. So that's what we're going to do today. All right, everybody in my class is going to have a palette that's fixed up like this. I just chose a few fun colors. I've got pink, green, and blue, and then I also have black and white. And we're going to use the black and white to mix our values today. Now we'll be sharing these palettes, so I'm also going to teach you guys how to be polite whenever we're sharing colors. So you're going to have your own palette for mixing in today, and you're going to have another palette that you actually share with your table mates. Okay, so this is how we're going to do that. What color should I use? What do you think? Green. Okay, I heard green first, so we'll go ahead and go with green. We're also going to have a little bit of water just to rinse out your brush when you need to, but I like to have a slightly wet brush just to begin with. Okay, so if we're going to use green first, I'm just going to dip right into that green, and I'm not even going to mix this color. This is going to be just the straight color out of the palette. I'm going to do the middle hill with this straight color, okay? So I'm going to come in here carefully with my brush. I'm going to follow right along that line. I'm going to try really hard to stay in that area. All right, and you can even turn your brush sideways if you need to. Sometimes that helps you stay in the lines a little easier. And I'm just going to paint that whole section one solid value. Now this would just kind of be a medium value. In a minute, I'll show you how to mix a dark and a light version of the same color. All right, whenever we paint, are we doing like this? No. No, that's leaving ghosties. See these big white spots? That doesn't look very professional. We want to be professional artists, so we're going to carefully paint. We're going to fill in those areas nicely, all the way up to our pencil lines, all the way to the edge of the page. If you get a little on the table, in my classroom, that is okay because we have table washers at the end that will take care of that, so we don't even have to worry about it. All right, so I've got that whole area filled in right there. Now, I'm going to show you how to mix a darker value for this piece up here at the top, or at the bottom, I guess I actually should say. We're going to use our own mixing palette, and we're going to take a little bit of the green and put it in our palette. And then, whenever we grab a new color, we're going to rinse out our brush every single time. So I put the green in. Now I'm going to rinse out my brush in the water. Sloshy, sloshy, sloshy. Wipey, 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 just like that. Now I'm going to take just a tiny bit of the black and mix it in there, and that's going to give me a very, very dark green. All right, that almost looks black on the screen, but it's a very, very deep kind of hunter green on here. And I had a little spill right there. I'll just wipe that off. We're going to take this very dark green, and we're going to paint the front hill. Whenever you're looking at real life outside, usually the hills that are closest to you look a little darker in value compared to the hills that are far away. And the reason is because of the atmosphere. The atmosphere has a little bit of moisture in it, kind of like fog. Have you guys ever seen fog? Yeah, whenever you see the fog, it looks lighter, doesn't it, than what's right in front of your face. Okay, so the stuff that's closer to you is usually a little more saturated, maybe a little darker in value, definitely more saturated when you look at it. All right, so I am going to paint this hill, this nice dark green value, filling in the whole thing. All right, I'm still being careful not to have any ghosties in there. I had to mix a little bit more. I kind of ran out of paint, so if you have to do that, that's okay. Is that ghosties right there? Yes. Yes, that's ghosties. I'm going to fill those in. This is how we do nice high quality artwork. We control our brush well. Oh, I want to show you something about brushes while we're talking about controlling a brush well. Anytime that you're painting, you always want to pull the brush like this. Never push against the hairs, because that will damage the hairs on your brush. We don't ever want to hurt our little bristles. These brushes are like my babies. I love you so much, little brush. You're doing a good job today. Keep up the good work. Alrighty, so that's a nice dark value hill. Next, we're going to add a light value hill right up here. Now, right now, my brush is very dirty, so I'm going to slosh it out nice and good. Sloshy, sloshy, wipey, wipey. If I need to, if my brush or my water's really, really dirty, then I may need to go dump out my water and get some more, and that's okay if you need to do that. We keep our cups about halfway filled, so that way, if they get spilled, it's not a huge tragedy. Okay, to mix your light color. I like to start with the lightest color that I'm using and darken it, because it's easier to darken a value than it is to lighten one most of the time when you're working in paint. So I'm going to start with a little white, and you can use any cup on this palette that you want. Alright, and now I'm going to rinse my brush again, and I'm going to add just a little dot of that green so I get a nice, very light value. Ooh, that's a nice little minty color there, isn't it? Yes, minty green. I'm going to go ahead and mix just a little bit more right now so I don't run out of paint this time. So I'm going to rinse my brush again because I don't want to put a dirty brush in our shared white paint. Alright, so there's some white. Rinse again. Here's the green. That way we keep our shared palette looking nice and clean so everybody has fresh paint to work with. Okay, now I can use that green to paint my last hill back here. I'm going right up to that pencil line. Always pulling my brush. If I need to, it's okay to turn your brush sideways. Watch this, I just want to show you something. If you turn your brush sideways, you get a very skinny line. If you turn your brush this way, you get a very fat line. You see the difference? Yeah, so that's some cool stuff that brushes can do. Alright, we are using tempera paint today, which will usually wash out. I've had a few reds and blacks that don't always wash out, but most of the time this paint is pretty friendly to work with. Alright, and that's where we're going to stop today, okay? Now, once this dries, you can go in and you can draw extra flowers or a house for your monster or any other details that you want to use, and you can glue your little monster down on there. You can also add any details in the sky that you want to, like maybe some clouds or birds or an alien spaceship or anything like that that you want to add in the sky is just fine. Okay, I am going to leave this little code here for you guys. So if you want to reference this, that will help you. Oh, and this is kind of hard to see. That says color plus black, color only, color plus white, and white. That's kind of the recipe that we're using today for our hills. All right, you guys ready to try it out? Wonderful, let's get going.